Here's how to lay out a ball for modern axis balance. We use this method for symmetric core balls that have pin out. You could also use it for symmetric core balls with pin in. In this particular case, we have a ball with the pin and CG at 3.5 inches apart, and we're going to begin by drawing an arc through those 2 points on the ball. Line up the ball so that the center of the pin is on the arc maker and the CG mark is there. Draw that arc, and then we're going to measure from the pin 6 3/4 inches. Always 6 3/4 inches. So what I'll do is I'll put the pin clear over to the side, 6 3/4. And mark 0 on top. I'm going to label that point X. Point X will ultimately be at the PAP. Now we will use the same steps as we use in traditional axis balance to put the X at the PAP instead of the pin at the PAP. So we'll start by measuring from the X the distance that the computer gives us. I'm going to use a horizontal distance of 5 and a vertical distance of 1 to the PAP, so the computer will tell us to measure 5 1/16 inches. So I'm going to put the X 5 1/16 inches down and mark the 0 point as point A. Then I'm going to go perpendicular to point A. I'm going to be using 5 inches here, which is the horizontal distance to the PAP. I'm going to call that point B. And we now have to move 1 inch to the right of point B. So I'm going to line this up in the cradle with point B on top and make sure this arc is along the edge of the arc maker. Then I go 1 inch in this direction, and this is point C. The center line for this layout will be an arc through C and A. We will mark that next. I'm going to put A on top of the ball, at 0 in other words. And I'll put C along the edge of the arc maker and draw my center line. The midline is perpendicular to that, so I'll turn the arc maker around and draw the center line, or the midline, excuse me. Notice that after we have drawn these arcs and made these measurements, that the center of grip will be at point A, 5 inches over and 1 inch up will be point X, which is 6 3/4 inches from the pin. Notice the location of the pin in relationship to the center of grip. The finger holes will be approximately here, and the thumb hole will be here. So this is a typical layout for the modern axis balance. With this layout, the pin is in this position and it will roll end over end with no wobble because of the way it's laid out. If it were at an angle, it would wobble as it rotate it around. But in this position, it will go end over end and you should get a very true arc.